Give me one moment, boys. Wow, this music's really both loud and dramatic for what's going on. Give me one moment. Sorry, just getting everything up on my monitors. Are you gonna work now? No. God damn. Can I just say, Twitch, fix your fucking app. I swear to God, the Twitch app is just... The Twitch app, you know what kills me about the Twitch app? Is that it's always, no matter what my internet quality, like at least a good 20 to 30 seconds delayed. It's unreal. Anyway. So we're doing this. We're doing the Pokemon card art review. Been a little while. Things are a little different now. I'm a little more, you know, there's not two of me, so that's pretty crazy. So, what we're doing today is the Pokemon card art review. I know last stream we did it with Kyle, and I said that would be a consistent thing. But Kyle has work. And his work has really fucked up scheduling. And he still has family. I have the benefit of living alone, which means that my schedule is pretty free on days that I don't have work, but his work calls him in a lot. So Kyle's gonna become more of like a guest star on episodes where he's around for. But I'll be handling it solo from here, which is not a problem. For those of you who don't know, Pokemon card art review, very simple stream idea. We're going ahead, we're gonna look through the set. We'll talk about some honorable mentions. I look at both good and bad cards, and then you know, I look at honorable mentions, good and bad, and I sort of, not tier list them. I grade them on a scale of -100 to +100, and then add them to a graph that we analyze. We actually have, let me see if I still have, I believe I do. I have the first graph here. This still has Kyle's. I think I'm gonna remove Kyle's scores. But as you can see, we graph them together, and we see there's a bit of a misconception. I've always believed that Pokemon card art has gotten better over the years. There's some people who believe it's gotten worse. So I'm trying to see if personally whether I view it that way. And I really want to know, like, you know, which sets were the best, which art styles were the best, and I want to look for consistencies. It'll be interesting to see at the end, like, which artists were sort of one of my favorites and stuff of that nature. So it's just going to be really fun. It's a really relaxing stream. Nothing too crazy. It's not like the amusement park stream where I'm gonna have to get up and dance around, or the Planet Coaster stream. This is just a very relaxing stream to just kick back and look at some art too. So we look at both an older set, which I consider Gen 5 and before, and a newer set, which I consider Gen 6 and to the future. So right now we have up our first old set. And that's going to be Great Encounters from Diamond and Pearl. Not quite sure. Hold on, let me bring up a wiki page real quick. Darn it. Great Encounters. There we go. Nope, that's Pokélector. Okay, here we go. So the set was released February 1st, 2008. So it's been about 13 years since the set was released, which feels really weird to say that Diamond and Pearl, anything related to it, was released 13 years ago. More so for Diamond and Pearl itself. So, god dang it. I have a cut in my straw, which makes drinking very difficult. Okay, so we're gonna start with Great Encounters. I have Hidden Fates first, because Hidden Fates was really, I have more to say about Hidden Fates than I have to say about Great Encounters. Not that I really consider Great Encounters a bad set, but it was just kind of boring to me. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna start with, let's start with the good of the set first. So we're gonna start with our first honorable mention, which is Lanoon. Let's see here. Let me find it. I need to write down the set number, or the number for each one. There it is. Alright, first honorable mention goes to Lanoon. I love this sort of style that's going on right now. I love the sort of painted background. In fact, the only thing I really don't like about this card is Lanoon himself. I think that pose is kind of weird. It looks like its back is sort of breaking almost. I don't like the fact that I can clearly... I know that's how Lanoon is, but it really emphasizes this thing, which is... This isn't a grading of Lanoon as a Pokemon. This isn't a review of the Pokemon themselves. This is a review of the art itself. But if it's something that emphasizes something I don't like about the Pokemon, then it's different. And in this case, I've never liked that this was a separate piece of Lanoon and not connected to the rest back here. And this emphasizes that in a really weird way. It just... I know this is not technically his back, and his back is right here, but it really looks like his back is broken right there. But in terms of what I like, I love this background. This background is gorgeous. I love the autumn colors. I love the reds and the yellows. And I love the mountains of the background. This is one of those backgrounds that I always talk about. Something that I always look for in cards is that feeling of wanting to just be sitting there, or be in that location, or be standing there. That's something in photography that I always like. When I look at like professional photography, that's always my favorite. Is like really nice, like nice landscape shots are good or all, but I always like the more closed in pictures or landscape shots, because I've always preferred how that, you know, the feeling of being right there, as opposed to when it's overly vast. It feels like some sort of fantasy landscape that's out of this reality. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone else. But that's an honorable mention. Our first good one, actually it's going to be lower, is going to be Caterpie from Great Encounters. This is our first official good one. And this will also be tied with Weedle, also from the same set. I put these two together because their art is very similar. It's both good. I couldn't put one above the other, so I kind of just lumped them together as first evolution bugs. Done by the same person, done in the same style, so... at least I think it's the same person. Not 100% certain about that. But I love this art. I love this art a lot. It makes Caterpie look really cute. It's a very nice focus on Caterpie, which we don't... You'd be surprised, we don't really get it. Oh, we kind of get it with Pokemon cards, but usually Caterpie has a more crazy background, usually with leaves or the ground or things going on. This one is just... It's just Caterpie looking at you. And I love the background. I love... This background has a lot of feeling to it. It's got a very chilly feeling to it, a very cool feeling to it, which is something I love. This is a very winter feeling picture. Unfortunately, it does seem like Caterpie might be out of food, because I'm pretty sure Caterpie is a... Well, I guess it's never been established whether Caterpie's an herbivore. I imagine it is. I don't think this thing has the teeth to bite into something. Either way. Yeah, I love this art. It emphasizes a lot of what I like about Caterpie. A very simple design, but very elegant altogether. Looks really nice together. It just feels something you would actually see in the Pokemon world. And it goes really well with the other one in the same amount, which is Weedle. Hold on, let me check if this is... Okay, so it's a different artist, but still within the same vein. Very winter feeling. Well, there you go, Weedle. I love this art. I love the way Weedle looks at you. He just looks so perplexed and so just like, what you doing, bud? Weedle looks so cute right here. I love the leaves on top of him. I know that's a little detail, but it's always little details I like in art. It's not something you see a lot in Pokemon art sometimes. Usually it's just the Pokemon posing, which is the unfortunate truth, especially with third evolutions. But this again feels very, like, in the world. This feels like something that would just happen. You would just turn and see a Weedle. Just sitting there. I definitely feel like this Weedle could be looking at the Caterpie from the other picture. Almost. But either way, I love this art. I love the snow. A lot of white. But instead of it just being, like, boring white, they got a lot of textures and colors. And, like, the only thing I don't like is there's not really a trail, which I feel like there should be, although Weedle could have gone underneath. But still, I would have expected the ground to be more raised up. I especially, I want to point out this too. I love the leaves colors. The leaves themselves, they have a lot of, it's not just autumn colored. They have, I see, like with this side, I see lighter oranges, lighter reds, lighter browns. Over here, I see much darker browns, and it's not even because of shadows. It's just leaves are all different. Every leaf is going to be different colored. And it definitely feels like that. So good job, Weedle. For this one on the scale, I'll give this one a, I'll give this one a solid 43. Very simple, but very good. Looks really nice, works well together. Both of them look great. So next up for honorable mention in our good category, we're going over to Tangela. Forgive me if it seems like I'm rushing. It's just seriously, like, I have much more going on. I have more to say about Hidden Fates. I don't have a crazy amount to say about Great Encounters. So this is our Tangela art. I like this art. I don't love it. I want to love this art, but there's certain things about it that I've never liked. The big one for me is that I don't even want to call it sky. It looks like smoke or clouds. I don't really know what's supposed to be happening in it. They could have gone with a dark color. I understand that they're using very abstract colors here. Not abstract, but very like not normal colors that you would see. They're not going for a realistic approach. But still, I feel like that shade of purple, it looks like coughing smoke. It doesn't really work with it. Tangela itself is having a pretty cute moment here. But overall, I'm not in love with it. I also feel like the ground is too closely colored to the tree color. It's okay to use this kind of brown. I do like that brown. That is an aspect of it I like. But maybe a slightly different shade just to differentiate it more from the trees in the background. Not bad. Honorable mention good, but not something that I would call like a standout. Something I would call a standout though is Marshtomp. Oh yeah. So this is actually good to compare it. So this also did more of like a, again, not abstract color. I don't know what the right word is, but more just like more colorful and vibrant. This art I love. I do like a lot cards that feel like I'm in the world. This does not feel like I'm in the world. This doesn't feel like a location I could be in, but everything about this card pops. The background of those autumn leaves works so well with the blue and orange aesthetic that Marshtomp has. No doubt about it. It's just beautiful. The green also works really well, coming from the lily pads and the grass in the background itself. Marshtomp's pose, I love. He's so happy, just going about his day. He's having a good time. Just a lot about this I like. Composition's good. I really don't have much bad to say about this art. This is just really, really solid. I'll be honest, it's one of the only really, really standout ones from the set, to be real with you. Marshtomp is just a Pokemon I already like, and this emphasizes what I like about Marshtomp a lot. So for that, I'm gonna give Marshtomp a 32. Alright, next up, we're gonna do a couple of honorable mentions here back to back. So I'm not gonna spend too long on these. Whismur, this art's good. Love the background, love the colors, but wasn't enough to really make the list. It's not bad or anything like that. It's just kind of, it's just a bit more just like standard Pokemon. And that's how I really view Great Explorers. It's very, very standard. There's not a lot of crazy stuff going on with Great Explorers. This is good art, but I don't love it. Within the same vein... Oh, I remember this one. I remember this upcoming art, which maybe means I should have put it higher up on the list, but that's Wailord. Again, I love this art. This is one of the only arts that reminds me that Wailord is like, you kind of forget because the games fail to really make it clear. I don't think a single game has really made it clear just how fucking big Wailord is. The only time it's been clear was in the DLC of one of the DLCs from Sword and Shield. I don't know, I didn't spend a lot of time with Sword and Shield, did not care for them. Like the Pokemon in them, Kind of liked the region, but overall felt it wasn't great. I know the DLC are good, but I'll get to those eventually. Either way, I think this art's really good. I love the art style. The water looks really good all going into its mouth at the same time. Wailord's just really imposing. But overall, it is just kind of Wailord. Not a crazy amount going on. I wouldn't say the colors really pop. They sort of, there's just like, especially up here, in the, can you actually see my mouse? Yeah. Up here, where the sun is coming in, it kind of blends with Wailord, which kind of ruins it a little bit. I also feel like there could have been more colors going on. I would have also liked to seen maybe a couple Pokemon kind of panicking to get away. Maybe that would have been a little much for the art. Maybe its simplicity would have been lost in that case. But overall, I think it's really, really good art, but I don't think it's top of the line. Oh, yes, this is something I wanted to mention. We may actually go through a couple of other ones here. Spelling that wrong? Was there no Survivor in this set? I could have sworn there was a Survivor. I want to add it to this list unless it was. Ekans. Okay, so there's definitely a Survivor if there's Ekans. Where is he? There he is. Oh, it's Survivor. Alright. Y'all can laugh at me. I've been calling it Survivor for years. I've been calling it Survivor for years. Wow. Well, that makes me feel stupid. Two things about this art. Another really nice background. Not as nice as I would say Lanoon's background. Or, you know, others in the more realistic vein. But still really like this art. But what I really wanted to point out with this one is, say what you will about Great Explorers, I think the set overall art-wise has been very, very average. And you'll definitely see that when we get into the bads. But god dang, everything just looks so fucking happy. All the Pokemon in the set, and you'll notice as I scroll through, just look really happy to be around. And it puts me in a good mood. This is a very positive feeling set. I just wish the art itself was better. Still though, this is just kind of Survivor. You know, not much going on with it. Not a crazy amount of detail. Not a crazy background. Just kind of there. Give me one moment. Sorry about that. Alright. So, let's move into the bads now. Oh, actually, hold on. We got one more good. And I believe this is my favorite one. And that's Ponchirisu. Oh yeah, I remember now. I'm not going to pretend like this is my favorite art in the planet. And I'm not even going to pretend like this is the most well put together art in the planet. But I just really like this art. It's very pretty. Ponchirisu's colors work really well with a more dark background. Sorry about that. Anyway. So yeah, this is Ponchirisu's art. I love the use of reds here. I love the background. It feels very closed in. It feels small, which I think a lot of art forgets to do. Because these are very small critters. Ponchirisu is tiny as crap. Its weight is 8.6 pounds. Ponchirisu is not a big thing. Only about a foot big. Which is still bigger than most animals in the real world, to tell you the truth, in terms of rodents. But I just like it. Ponchirisu looks like it's falling within petals, or maybe someone just used Petal Dance. I'm not gonna pretend like it's the most amazing art, but it's just an art that personally speaks to me, and I really like the quality of. So I think Ponchirisu gets a solid 20. Not crazy good, but definitely better than the other art that we see along the set. Alright. Now let's get into the bad, starting with our honorable mention bad. And that's Hypno. The background's great, but I really... Uh, this art's good. I'm not gonna pretend like it's bad. Sorry about that. I think the art itself is good. It's not good enough to make my good list, in my opinion. But I don't like the implication of this art. This art... the implication of this art is very, it's sketchy, to say the least, knowing, I don't like it. I just realized what that Pokedex entry just says down there. Seeing its swinging pendulum can induce sleep in 3 seconds, even in someone who just woke up. Lord. But yeah, it's good art. I don't like the implication, which doesn't bring it down. I would just consider this an above average art piece. I just don't... I don't like the aesthetic. I don't like the intention of the art. Next up, we're gonna look at our next bad, or our first real bad, which is Butterfree. There we go. Oof. I just remember why this is bad. So on the opposite end of the different color spectrum, sorry, sending a message to someone. Don't mean to interrupt. Alright. I love nothing about this picture. I think Butterfree looks fine. It's a very boring pose on Butterfree. I really hate the color they went with. When I think Butterfree, I really like Butterfree with a more darker purple and more dark red eyes. More darker colors than the bright colors, but that's more of an aesthetic opinion. But that pose is boring, and I hate that background. I'm someone who loves a good detailed background. That is a fucking hideous background. To begin with, I don't know why it's snowing in the desert. I don't think that's supposed to be a desert, but it sure as shit looks like a desert. It's yellow. I've never been to anywhere that's been pure level yellow that hasn't been a desert or a beach or I guess maybe clay, but none of those are locations that have snow. Well, I guess clay, but ugh. The weird red bushes, it's just very lumpy. It's like someone just found some excess art of Butterfree they had, drew it, and someone was like, it needs a background. And they're like, okay, we can actually count the lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then if you want to count the circles, I guess there's a few more. But if I could count your lines reasonably quickly in your art, it's not great art. Unless it's supposed to be simplistic. Maybe this is supposed to be simplistic, but you could do... I'm not one of those people that hates modern art. I think modern art could be really, really strong. I think the examples people use are as outliers. I think you could do simple in a very, very effective way. This is not it. This is not simple in an effective way. This is simple in a very, very boring way. It is very disappointing. So I'm gonna give this one... Oh man, I don't like this art at all. I don't want to be too hard though, because I think there's worse. I'm gonna give this one a negative... I'm gonna give this one a negative 32. I guess it wasn't breathtakingly bad, but boy howdy do I not like it. Next up is Gorbas. Okay, so Gorbas ties it to something that I have a problem with this whole set. I have it listed as two separate, actually, I'm gonna leave Gorbas for now. We're gonna come back to Gorbas. Keep Gorbas in your mind. Let's flip to Glameow. I don't like the Purugly art. Good background. And that's about where it ends. I cannot stand this Glameow art. This is... I already don't like Glameow when it's standing up. It definitely gets the aesthetic of when a cat stands up and it's just like creepy. Like there's sometimes when it's cute when an animal stands up, but there's times when it's like, yikes. And this is one of those moments where I'm kind of like, oof. I don't like this art. I don't really know. It doesn't make sense to me. It might be sitting on a rock. It doesn't really look like it's sitting on a rock. It looks like it's sitting on the ground maybe, but the ground looks too far up. If it's not sitting, then it's standing, but then why would it be standing on its tail? It's not even really stroking its tail because the tail isn't in between the hands. This hand's on the outside of the tail. I hate this art. I really, really hate this art. It doesn't make my bad list only because I like that background. But this is a picture that feels like someone drew a really, really nice background, and then someone went, wow, cool background. So what Pokemon is it for? And the guy went, oh, Glameow? And then just chucked Glameow onto it. Not good art, but not bad enough to make my bad list. Next up, for my truly bad, we're going over to Slowbro. Slowpoke. Slowpoke has good art. That's it. Too much bloom. Someone figured out how to do bloom or bright colors or whatever the fuck, and yeah. No. So the background is just so blurry. Let's start there. Let's start with the background. The background is so blurry. It's like I have to wipe my eyes because it feels like I'm focusing on the wrong thing and it all blends together. I couldn't tell if this was more sky. I don't know why this sky is one color and this might be sky or ocean. I think it's supposed to be ocean? Maybe? I'm not so certain. It kind of just... if it's sky, then it's the complete wrong color, because it should be a brighter blue. If it's ocean, it looks like it's coming up. Oh, is it supposed to be mountains? Okay, I think it's supposed to be mountains, but the fact that it took me that long to figure it out should tell you something about the quality of it. Yeah, Now moving to Slowbro himself, very boring pose. I don't even know what he's doing with his right arm. I don't know if he's supposed to be looking at the camera. It kind of looks like one eye's looking at the camera while the other's just looking off into hoo-ha land. The pose is so weird, and then the colors, man, just too bright. This whole image is just too damn bright. It almost feels like that mountain was shoehorned in. I hate that mountain. I feel like that mountain was shoehorned in just to add some dark to the color. It's just so bright. He's got this weird glow to him. I don't know why it looks like there's like sun reflecting here. Because the sun would be coming from a different angle. Because unless it was sunset, but then the sky would be a different color. I don't like this art. I really hate this art. The longer I look at it, the more I realize how much I dislike this art. Oh, man. Yeah. I wish I didn't add that mountain. I think this image would actually look slightly, not enough to be good, but slightly better if that mountain wasn't there. Anyway, final score. I'll be fair. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna bump up Butterfree's to a -42. And I'm gonna give this one a -35. Because I don't think it's as bad as Butterfree's was. But it still wasn't... It's still not... It's still very bad. And now we're gonna end off with... where I was talking about with Gorbas, but I have a better example than Gorbas of what I'm talking about in this case. damn it. And that's what I refer to as just a picture. Oh. Okay. Here's Wingull. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's just the Pokedex picture for Wingull. That's just the in-game sprite, but colored in. They just... In this case, it looks like they took a picture of a 3D space, or like a 3D image, or maybe it's a real-life image, and then they added blur, and then gave him this weird... There's so much wrong with this. I don't even know where to begin. So to begin with, the background is... The image in the front is literally just a generic-ass picture of Wingull that took no effort. Just stapled onto a background. Just put on there. Just stamped on there. With no thought or care. I can't even tell what's happening in that background. Maybe it's supposed to be in-game. Maybe it's supposed to be IRL. I can't tell. Because they added so much blur. And then on top of the blur of the background, they added that weird blue. Now, Wingull isn't the only example of this. You see, there's another Pokemon called Igglybuff. Let me find this bud. So again, that's just a generic 3D desert. They added mild blur to, for some ungodly reason, put stamped Igglybuff onto there, and then added a slight blur effect. First off, why the fuck would Igglybuff be in the desert? Someone answer me that. I mean, I guess it could be, but... Excuse me, my throat got dry there from being so angry. But I cannot for the life of me figure out why that would be their go-to for designing the art. It doesn't even look like it's hopping. It just looks like it's massive on the background of a desert. This art makes no fucking sense to me in any way. It just looks bad. It just looks bad. It just looks bad. Alright. And there's actually a third one that's an example of this. Have y'all ever heard of Togepi? Now, Togetic is okay. But Togepi, hey, y'all like mountains? Let's just take a picture of the mountains, or take a 3D render of mountains, and let's just take the most generic picture of Togepi we can find, and just stamp it onto the background, and add light blur. I understand it's a common, guys, but we looked at the Caterpie and Weedle. Those were commons. Those had amazing art. What is this? Gorbas is in the same one, though Gorbas isn't as bad, I will admit. But holy shit. This was like no effort. This was like no fucking effort. I hate this art with a burning passion. This is the laziest, and especially, I don't get, it's like they added the blur because they realized how lazy it looked. This has no effort behind it. And for that, this is getting an easy -83. I cannot stand when they do this. I really can't. It just looks horrible. Excuse me, I'm just setting up something. Alright. So that was great explorers. Great encounters. Overall, the set, I showed you the most interesting parts of the set. The Swablu art's pretty good. But in general, the set wasn't great. There was nothing that stuck out to me. There was a lot of just stamping a Pokemon onto a background that has no relation to it. It didn't look good. It felt lazy. I actually want to check something real quick. Is this by Ken Sugimori? Yeah. Sorry, Ken, but holy shit, dude. That's a name I recognize. That's probably an important person. My apologies. I recognize that name a lot. Is he someone who's big? He probably created the whole damn series, if I remember his name. But you know what? Creating the series doesn't mean you create good card art. This sucks. Overall, I'm just gonna give this set. You know, originally I was just gonna get the set an average score, but re-looking at the bad ones are so bad after looking at them in detail. They look so lazy. So I think I'm gonna be at least somewhat nice. I'm gonna give it a -8. And I'm gonna leave it at that. It's not the worst thing in the world, but there is nothing in the set. Let me put it this way: if I were gonna be buying a set from Diamond and Pearl, because they're all expensive, I would want to buy from a better set. There really wasn't too much going on here. There's some nice Darkrai art that was okay, but overall, I don't think it was great. Okay, next up, we're gonna look at Hidden Fates, which, in my opinion, is one of the best sets Pokemon ever created. And Shining Fates sucks. I'm gonna just tell it like it is. I hate Shining Fates compared to Hidden Fates. I'll give you ideas how much I love Hidden Fates. I believe I have to finish sorting my set, but I believe I'm 5 cards away from 100%ing the set, and the 5 cards that I need are not the full art shinies. I believe I have, other than I think one, I think I have every single full art shiny from Hidden Fates, including the Charizard. So that should give you an idea of how much I like this set. But that will not be affecting my overall score. I will grade it just as harshly as everything else. So we're gonna start. I don't know if I want to start with the bad or the good first. I'm gonna start with the bad. And I'm gonna start with Staryu. Is there 2 Staryus? I have to check because for some reason I put Staryu down in both my honorable mention bad and my straight up bad. Well, I'm gonna remove it off my honorable mentions bad. This is just gonna be straight up bad now. Alright, so Staryu. Okay. Hey Ken, welcome back. I wish you didn't come back. Once again with your good old stamp tool and random background. I actually have to recognize in the name. I believe the Pokemon art itself is Ken, but the background is not him. Either way, I don't think it's that good. How boring. How goddamn boring. This is probably some of the most boring card art I have ever seen. It is literally, you could not get more literal than this card. There's Staryu. We'll put some little sperms flying out of him. That's it. That's all. It's not the worst thing in the world. I like Staryu, like the drawing of Staryu itself. I think that's okay. But really, this is the best you could do? We'll see it when we get to the good. But there's like good in this art. This doesn't have to be bad. This doesn't have to be bad. They chose it to be bad. So, I don't have too much to say about this, probably because there's not much going on with this. So, I think I'm gonna give it, I'm not gonna be too hard because it's not the worst thing in the world. It'll get a -12, and we'll leave it at that. Alright, the next one I have a lot to talk about. And that's our next okay. And that's our next honorable mention bad. It's not the seconds, it's the seconds. You may be thinking, well Josh, this art looks pretty good. I wouldn't say it's bad. And I would agree. I love this art. I think it's pretty good. You know why I don't like this art? Hold on. Yep, it's as I thought. Yeah, it's as I thought. Because for some reason, so you may notice in the background, Articuno flying in the background. That's pretty neat. It feels like it's part of the world, and you'd be right. And this set actually had a really neat card called Tag Team that had Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos on one card. Really cool. In fact, it's so cool that I actually made my good card art list. And you can imagine that there are other base form Pokemon that have the legendary birds in the background. Well, in Japan, before the set with the triple legendary bird tag team was released, they had these 3 base form Pokemon in the same set. So it was like a big deal. It was like something to talk about. It's like, oh, the 3 legendary birds. I wonder what they're flying together for. And then, oh, look, it's the tag team. It's a little fun, little nod to what they were going to do in the future before it was fully revealed. Pretty neat. For some reason, in America, they split them up. Or globally, they split them up. I have no fucking clue why. And it will never piss me off. It will never not piss me off. Because I believe in the set before this, which was Unbroken Bonds, I believe. Don't quote me on that. We have Hoothoot, who has Zapdos, and... I can't remember who has Moltres. I think it might be Poochyena, but don't quote me on that. Either way, I don't know why they released Ekans in the set, especially because they have a perfectly good Ekans art in this set. I truly, is it because there's an art block here? But I'm pretty sure there's an art block in the other set. If not, I don't see why that matters. I really don't understand. I hate the fact that they split these up. I hate it. It ruins the entire point of the art. If you were to have a collection laid out by set, I would purposely move this card art back to the Unbroken Bond section so that it could all be part of the same set. I have no clue why it isn't. Not bad enough for me to give a review or take the whole set down with, but it's a very frustrating decision that I don't know why they made it. Now into the genuinely bad. We have Evie. There's actually 2 Evie arts. And one of them's okay. The rare art is okay. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's pretty neat. And then there's this art. I'm just gonna let everyone absorb it for a moment. So, does someone want to get Evie to a chiropractor, or should I take it? I mean, what the hell? First off, why is the ground curving like that? Are we supposed to be in a hole? In which case, why is Evie looking so forcefully like he's falling into the hole? In which case, it's not a hole. It's just a weirdly shaped piece of ground? I guess that could be fine. It could be a little cliff face. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah, I think so. The fact that I'm so unsure should tell you everything you need to know about this art. I don't like how Evie is shaped. I'm not going to say this is the worst art ever. But... A, it falls into the category of, I'm going to be harsher on it because there's a perfectly fine other Evie art. And then it just falls into the category of just being like, why was this made? I don't like this art. I don't like how Evie's legs are moving here. I don't like this pose at all. I think Evie itself looks fine, but it just looks so weird. I don't have too much else to say about this. I do like the light rays. I like the forest background. I'll be honest, I don't particularly like the sparkles. I don't think they add anything to the art. In fact, I think they make it a little busy overall. I do like the art style overall. I just hate this pose. I think the pose needs a lot of work. So I'll give this one a negative. I'm not gonna be too hard. It's a -3. Could be better, could be worse. At least the background is detailed. For my final honorable mention bad, we're actually going to go over to a different website. To Pokélector.com. Okay, it was Unified Minds, by the way. Unified Minds was the set before this. I forgot about Unified Minds. Not logged in. So, as you can see, there's something called the Shiny Vault. It's really cool. We'll talk about this when we get into the good card art. Because there was one that actually made it. I love these full arts. But let's talk about these guys. Let's talk about the Tapus. Hold on. No, I could just do this. Will this work if I just do Tapu? Yeah, yep. Oh, wow, that worked perfectly. Alright, so let's talk for a moment. We'll get to it when we reach Forbidden Light. But they started doing these gold cards. In Sword and Shield, they did these a lot differently. Again, when we get a gold... Bleh. When we get a Sword and Shield set, we'll talk more about it then. But... in Forbidden Light, they did Ultra Necrozma Gold. And it looked like shit. It's an expensive card. I own the card. But I hate the card's art. And it's not even just because I hate Ultra Necrozma as a whole. It just doesn't look good. The biggest problem with Ultra Necrozma is that you couldn't see him. They added no outlines. I mean, they added the most faint gold outline, so it was hard to see what the art was. And in fact, I have right here in the same realm. Hold on. Sorry, excuse me, just flexing real quick. Oh shit. Just dropped like $300 worth of cards on the ground. Good thing everything's sleeved. Yeah, also, by the way, I bought stuff to start learning how to at least semi-self-grade. Since getting cards graded is expensive and I don't want to send anything that's gonna be shit. So, I ordered this. It's Silver Dialga from Furious Fist? Phantom Forces. From Phantom Forces. There you go. Sorry, I had to remove it off of the order sheet. But this Dialga, I won it because I thought it was going to look cool. But it has the same problem that Ultra Necrozma has. Ignore the writing on the text. But can y'all even begin to fucking make out what's there? It might look better on a computer screen, at least it did for me. It is so faint that if I didn't know it was Dialga, I'd be like, what the fuck am I looking at? And now they tried to remedy this. Here was the Tapus. They did one in each color with the outline. I think the worst of them is easily Tapu Koko. But I'll be honest, other than maybe Tapu Fini, I still don't think it looks good. This yellow color, the outline is still too weak. It's too thin. I don't know why they don't add a black outline to these things. I don't get it. It would not take away from the gold coloring of the card if the Pokemon itself was outlined in black. I'm so frustrated at the fact that they did that. It makes them all look crappy. It just makes them like... It's weird how they decided what parts of the Pokemon to not completely color in yellow. It just makes it look unfinished. It's not bad enough where I'd say it's bad. It's just an honorable mention. But still, I wouldn't go around applauding this one. Now in the world of genuinely bad. Oh boy. We actually have our least bad one. I actually went in the wrong order this time. And that's Butterfree. I'm not gonna say this is the worst art in the world. Well, boy has today been just a day of bullying my boy Butterfree. You know what, Butterfree? Next time I do a playthrough where I can catch you early on, I'll use you to the end of the game. You deserve it, because boy, they just treated you like shit sometimes in the TCG. But what am I looking at here? So, to begin with, I don't know why it looks like Butterfree. Oh, it's... Okay. Actually, there is one thing I like about this that I just realized, and that's that Butterfree seems to be bursting out a Metapod. Which is a little grotesque, but I guess they're the same thing. You know what? I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I don't think I hate this art as much as I thought I did when I put it on the list. I go as far as to say I think the Tapus were worse. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna take Butterfree off the list. Looking at the art in more detail zoomed in like this on a much bigger monitor than what I was looking at when I originally, I graded it much worse. And I shouldn't have. It's not great art, but now that I understand what's going on in it, I don't feel as bad. Shoot. Sorry, I gotta enter it into the system. And I want to add... I'm actually gonna put the Tapus as my final bad, because I think those were arguably worse. In that case, I'm gonna grade the Tapus, which I'll give a -2. I'll give a -1. I'll just give a flat 0. I'll give it a -1. Don't want to applaud them too much. Not awful, but not great. Alright, let's get into the goods. Let's stop looking on the bads. First up is our first honorable mention good. Alright. Hi there, Nicholas. You're gonna be leaving forever. Sorry about that. And can I not do that from here? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Alright, sorry about that. Wanted to get the spam bot out. Alright, so this is my first honorable mention good, and it's Paris. And Paris looks pretty good here. Paris looks like he's having a good time here. I like this Paris. This isn't my favorite art in the world. Not the most detailed, not the best looking. Background's a little dull. But I just like how Paris is waving like, hey, how you doing? For how miserable of a life Paris lives, I'm glad it gets a moment of like, hey there. Just seeing its friend. And real quick before we get into the full good, let me swap out drinks to one with a working straw. Sorry about that. I was getting sick of that straw. Now, moving into the actually good, we have our first one, which I actually have to, I believe, go up here, which is Giovanni's Exile. Specifically, the full art version, which is this one. Actually, that one probably would have been on the list, but that's alright. I love this art. I like Giovanni in general. His goals are very non-complex, which I think is something that is vastly missed within the Pokemon enemy team thing. It's at the point now where I really wish every game didn't require to have an enemy team, but I guess Sword and Shield really didn't have an enemy team. Credit where credit is due. Instead, they just had worse Lucamine. So, either way, I love Giovanni's overall design. Very simple, very just like, this is a mafioso. And this is a very imposing art. I love the big... This would be an art that I consider good but boring if it didn't have the big R in the background. But when I need someone to show me, like, if someone was like, show me Giovanni, this is the art that I would use. Or this is the picture that I would use. Because this is just everything you need to know about Giovanni is in this one picture. Evil, you can pretty much immediately tell that he probably steals Pokemon. Just awesome. Well-made art. Well-made art, really well put together. I have no complaints. I also don't have a lot to say about it because it's just, well, I can. There's a lot of shading that I appreciate on the art overall. Specifically, you could see a lot of coloration around the collarbone. This is actually something I'm just noticing now. But a lot of the Hidden Fate stuff definitely looked more like painted. Not that it was actually painted, but like painted using the Photoshop painting, which is still nice. It's still really nice. It gives it a nice bit of, it gives it a little bit of texture look to it. I have this card, and this card has a lot of nice texture to it as well. So it's sort of a combination with real life. So I think overall, Giovanni's Exile, easy 46. I'm confident in giving it a 46. Alright, next up for... Oh, this is going to be a good one. So, we're going to go over to the electric types. We're going to look at Voltorb and Electrode for our honorable mention good. These aren't the most amazing arts in the world. I'm just happy that after, 13 years, they made art where it's not just, oh, I don't know, chucking Voltorb off a fucking cliff. Yeah. God, I love how bad that art is. I'm getting that graded, by the way. When I eventually get my cards graded. Right now, it's not opened up. Ew. Ew. Okay, that needs to be cleaned. Anyway. But it's not the best art in the world. I just wanted to point out that you can do stuff with Voltorb and Electrode. They don't have to look terrible. It's not inherent that Voltorb and Electrode always need to have the most boring artwork in the planet. You can have a good Voltorb and Electrode art with them doing stuff. Now moving into the real good art, we're actually going to continue with Electrode and Voltorb, but specifically just Electrode. In Electrode, Sorry. Oh, sorry. Voltorb SV13. I know. Very, very simple. I'm not gonna pretend like this art is breaking new bounds. It is just Voltorb. But it's an interesting pose, which I appreciate. I know it's just a Celestial Storm pose, so I'm not gonna talk about it. But I really like how his shiny looks. His shiny's always been one that I've liked, but not loved. This emphasizes why I should love the art. The darker, I genuinely think that this darker shade right in the middle should have been his default for color. It really sticks out to me. It's a really nice shade of blue. I love how shiny Voltorb is. You kind of forget, you don't forget, but Voltorb's whole gimmick of looking like a Pokeball seems kind of stupid given given A, the size of Voltorb, and B, how it looks. And it's like matte feeling when the balls are very shiny. This looks really shiny. If this wasn't shiny, I'd probably think it was a Pokeball from the back. Yeah, I love Voltorb's face here. I just think this art really works for me. Of all the shiny, this is the only one of the shiny Volt Pokemon that made the list. And I just consider it the best. Not even Charizard GX kept up. So I'll give it a solid 38 for making me love Voltorb. Now we're going to do our last two honorable mentions. Starting with Caterpie. Didn't quite make the list. I think the rest of the art did a little better job, but still good. I love the background. It's very detailed. I think where I don't like it is maybe it's a little too over detailed. There's so much going on in the art that my eyes are naturally drawn everywhere but to Caterpie. My eyes, when I like just trying not to. I think what's really doing it is all the red. I like the red for the color it adds, but I think it's a little too much. These berries in particular keep drawing my eyes away. I think these would have been fine if the red on Caterpie itself was a bit brighter, a bit closer, then maybe my eyes would have been drawn to it. But with this more, like, jelly, I would say, colored red, my eyes are like, boom, brighter red. I also get dragged over here a lot with this red, with this much lighter red. Caterpie is just so, like, more muted here than the other ones with how colorful and detailed the background is, that it kind of drags me away from it. But still really good art. I love the color. I love the aesthetic. Going up for our final honorable mention good is Lapras. Lapras is one of my favorite Pokemon. I don't really get to use it a lot past the very, very first game because, well, frankly, it wasn't very good past the very first game and some minor boost here and there, but Lapras has kind of fallen off now. I don't know if its Dynamax is any good. I need to look into that. But either way, I don't know. This art's good. I don't have too much to say about it. It's got that nice textured look to it. I love Lapras's pose. It looks... Can I say something a little bit weird here? Do not give me weird faces here. I'm just pointing it out. Whoever drew this is the weird one. This Lapras has a little bit of like a sensual look to it that I'm not a huge fan of. Its face is a little weird there. But ignoring that, Lapras looks good. That's about all I have to say to it. The water looks nice, very clear. But overall, it's pretty good. But for my final, truly good one, we're going to go all the way down to the normals with Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. So originally this was taken up by Cynthia, the full art, but I ended up knocking her off because frankly, the only reason I liked it was because they used their shiny Pokemon, but overall I think her pose was boring. Actually I own that card because I'm a huge Cynthia fan. Actually, I need only 2 more cards to complete my Cynthia set. Either way, So instead I swapped it to this. Besides this just being a cool card in general, ignoring that, removing how cool it is to have all 3 of the legendary birds, I love like the style here. I don't know if it picks up well on camera. You may have to bring it up for yourself, but it's got a really nice texture to it. Like this, where Giovanni's Exile looked like it was like using the Photoshop or like the Illustrator Paint tool. This looks like it could have been really drawn in real life and just scanned in for art. I don't believe that's what happened, but just because of how they textured it, it looks really, really good. I think this is the best all 3 of these Pokemon have looked pretty much ever. This is pretty much the best of all 3 of them. I think Zapdos got a little bit of the short end of the stick, but I think in general still it looks great. I like the fact also it would have been so easy to make their effects, or like the fire effects, the ice effects, and the lightning effects being too much, but I think they got it just right. I think Zapdos's might have been a little much. I think if they were gonna like not do snow and not fully do fire, I think they should have not fully done electric instead of just doing yellow bits, or done the snow and fire. But either way, I love this art. I love the poses too. It definitely feels, it gives me the aura of 3 Pokemon that don't really want to be working together, that are forced to work together specifically to beat your ass. These guys look like they want to kill whatever they are facing, and I love that. It's very rare that, and I know this sounds strange, but you'll understand more as we continue the series. I'll point it out more and more. It's very rare to have Pokemon card art that actually feels like you're being threatened, if that makes sense. But this feels like they're about to come and fuck your shit up. Unfortunately, due to how stupid their energy cost is to use their attack, they're quite shit, because goddamn is it difficult to have 3 different types of energy in your hand, as well as an extra energy, as well as actually have a consistent deck that works. So but either way, I love this art. I think this art is a solid 52. Alright, and that'll be Hidden Fates. You may be surprised to know that there really wasn't a lot of the really, really shiny Pokemon, like the ones that the set is mostly known for. But to tell you the truth, most of them are just shiny versions of art we'll see later, and the art we'll see later is honestly just better versions, other than the fact that they're shiny, and that's pretty much the only draw to them. So we'll see. I think that's just about gonna do it today. First, let me give my set score. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not favoritism, I promise. Hidden Fates is just a really good set in terms of card art. There's a lot I didn't talk about here. I've always been drawn to this Clefable and Clefairy art. I think they're really good. That Cubone art's amazing. Not so great. The Golem or Graveler or Geodude art, or the Mew art. Jinx art I love. The Wheezing art I love. The Coughing art, underrated. Arbok art. I just think overall the art's really good in this set. So I think the set overall will get a solid 68, subject to change, if something's better or worse. Either way, I think that's just about going to end it for today. Sorry I haven't been around. That will hopefully be stopping. I'm just going to be upfront. I'm working an event this Saturday, so it's a July 4th event, and I'm going to be serving alcohol, which should give you an idea about how fun that's going to be. So I'm just going to come up and say, probably no stream this Saturday, but I have no work next Saturday, and I'm praying to God that I don't get any, so I'll be available then. Hopefully, if I have the energy after work, I may do a stream Sunday, but do not hold me to it, because I can't make promises. If you would like to keep up with the streams and see new content, subscribe to the VOD channel. I upload as consistently as I remember that it exists, which isn't frequently, but when I do, I do. Or unless something gets copyright striked, and I don't know, in which case it doesn't get uploaded. But either way, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a lovely evening. I forgot to record this entire stream. I'm going to have to download it. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later.